Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands and dust off your broomsticks and join us as we unlock the riddles inside Goblet of Fire, Chapter 19, The Hungarian Horntail. Not the dragons. The Hungarian Horntail.
The Hungarian Horntail,
right,
yeah. So it's like right away you can be fairly rest assured that Harry is going to be facing this dragon.
It does feel like just the tiniest bit spoilery. Like the very next chapter will just be the first task, but it's like it could just be called the dragons, and it could reference that the Hungarian Horntail was like the most dangerous looking one, but it's like what? Like it feels like a poor chapter choice.
There's a few things going on here because like so often I feel like the chapter art will go out of its way to be like non-spoilery for something that's going to happen inside of that chapter.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like I want to say. Oh, we were just doing a video earlier this week. I want to say like the sorting hat is like a picture of like Peeves.
Oh, right.
You know, not a picture of the sorting hat.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not sure if like part of that is meant to be like, but then you don't know, like even Ron doesn't know how the sorting ceremony works. Like we don't want to like show it to you, or maybe it's called the sorting ceremony.
Yeah. Or like weirdly, like the chapter called Gilderoy Lockhart has a picture of like the Mandrake.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think in a lot of different situations, you end up having this like weird choice where it's like we're attempting to not be spoilery at the expense of not being totally relevant. But this time, like especially for this particular chapter, and like given the fact that like Harry doesn't face off. Like he doesn't face off with the dragon in this chapter either. So when we were out on tour, we were doing this chapter live in Nashville, and all week I kept being like, oh my gosh, but Nashville gets the Hungarian Horntail chapter, because like just in the back of my head, I kept just concluding the obvious thought, which was that like the Hungarian Horntail chapter is the one where Harry faces the Hungarian Horntail.
Yeah.
This is just the one where he's like brought out in the woods and it's shown to him.
Yeah.
So this time the chapter and chapter art is both spoilery and not as relevant, I suppose, as it could be. So.
I mean, I feel like what happened is there was a case of like very much wanting there to be a naming convention for the chapters that were the tasks, like the first task, the second task, the third task.
Yes,
right?
and then
like,
you also have the unexpected task.
Yeah, and the unexpected task. So it's like that is a nice little convention that runs through the series. On the other hand, though, you have just the name Hungarian Horntail, which is one of like the best names in all of fantasy for anything.
Truly,
right?
Yes.
And so it's like I understand the dilemma, because like you want to use that as a chapter title because it's so cool sounding.
Right.
But you can't put it where it should obviously go. But if you put it anywhere else, it spoils it. But it's really not that much of a spoiler because it happens the next chapter. So yeah,
I know. Yeah, it's like you're gonna burn past it pretty quickly. It's not going to be a great deal in the scheme of things. But either way, it's kind of fun chapter art. At least we've got that. We get like a great sense of scale of like how big the dragon tamers are relative to the dragons themselves.
Oh my gosh, the dragons in the chapter art are massive.
They are proper huge.
They are huge, like way bigger than what you see in the movies.
Yes.
They're more like Smaug-sized dragons.
Smaug,
Smog, whatever.
I don't even dare try.
I know.
I'm always impressed.
Smaug.
I'm like, why did you say something at all?
Why,
Like,
Smaug. The guy, the big dragon who stole the mountain full of gold. That guy. The Hobbit.
The Hobbit. Yeah, you've been there.
You've heard of it.
So when you're looking at this chapter art, though, I tried to make guesses based on which dragon I thought each one was.
Yes.
So my wager here with the top left dragon is going to be like your Hungarian Horntail.
The one with the horns. Yeah.
The one with the horns. Yeah. Just below that, breathing out the bottom, I'm calling the Swedish short snout.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of got like a snout.
It does have like a big snout going on there.
Yeah. And then in the middle, I'm going with Welsh green.
I agree.
Mostly out of like it's the last one I was able to label, because then the top right, at least based on the description, seems the closest to the Chinese fireball.
Chinese fireball, which it just seems like it would have like more spikes, because the other one's called a common Welsh green, which you'd think it would have the least amount of features.
Yes. So then me and you, I think, have deliberated on this one a little bit as well. Like up until October 31st, the assumption was that they would only need 3 dragons.
Right.
Now, the first task is on November 24th, which means they have, 24 days to secure a 4th dragon.
Right.
Which one do you think is the 4th dragon?
Right. What is the 4th dragon added? Yeah. So there's 2 schools of thought. One is that they added the Horntail.
Right.
Which, because it feels like they added Harry, and Harry gets the Horntail. So there's that.
It feels a little bit like they were the last 2 who were added to this tournament.
Right. They were the last 2 that were added to the tournament. It feels like that. I feel like my argument would be for the Commonwealth Green. Like, they already had 3 big, like, international, like, dragons they brought in for the international tournament that have cool names: the Chinese Fireball, the Swedish Short Snout, and the Hungarian Horntail, and the Commonwealth Green. It's like, that one is so much more boring than the other 3 that it feels like, oh man, we had to arrange for a 4th dragon. What can we get on short notice?
Right. It's like, yeah, Newt.
Yeah. Dude, what do you got? What do you got for me, buddy? Yeah.
Yeah. Notably, no Ukrainian iron bellies.
No Ukrainian iron belly. I mean, they've already got one. No. That's the one guarding the Gringotts.
Gringotts Bank.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Hebridean Blacks,
which is most likely what Hogwarts was once.
Already was. They'd be even way too big for this,
Hashtag Hogwarts is a dragon.
Hashtag Hogwarts is a dragon. We all know that everyone here on through the Griffin door is like, they know. They know the truth.
They know the truth.
We all know the truth. Hogwarts is a dragon.
Hogwarts is a dragon.
Guys, we are like, we sold out of Hogwarts as a dragon pins on our last tour, and we're like, okay, obviously we have to make more, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger pins, because you know what? Hogwarts is big and dragons are big. So we need a big pin.
Big pin.
Yeah, so just stay tuned.
Be on the lookout for our next tour announcement coming sometime soon.
But what's available right now, guys, thank you so much if you bought a sorting candle. I was just looking at the numbers for that, and I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, people loved this.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if you bought a sorting candle, thank you so much. If you have not bought a sorting candle, they are new candles that we just launched, and as far as I know, invented, where you light the candle. It starts off white, but as it burns, the wax inside will turn either blue or green or yellow or red.
Yes.
And sort you.
Yeah, so as the candle burns, you're getting your own Carlin Brothers sorting experience.
Yes, your destiny awaits.
Exactly. So from now on, if you ever meet us in person, we're like, oh, what house are you in? You can tell us what house you identify as, and then what house we have sorted you into.
Yes, via candle.
Exactly.
There you go.
And if it happens to match up, all the better.
All the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So are you going to do your thing for our first line here?
Oh my gosh. If ever there was a chapter for it. Here we go. All right. The prospect of talking face to face with Sirius was all that sustained Harry over the next fortnight. The only bright spot on a horizon that had never looked darker. And then the dragons arrived, which is literally what happens in this chapter.
It's so perfect for this chapter.
Yeah.
And especially because like he is going to encounter the dragons before he gets to talk to Sirius. So it's like the only prospect that is sustaining him at all is like, I get to talk to Sirius soon. And it's like, before that though, the dragons arrived.
Yeah.
And then things got worse.
It's like he was excited. Yeah, he was excited to talk to Sirius. And then suddenly he had a new thing to talk to Sirius about.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Although excellent timing that Sirius happens to be showing up on the 22nd of November to give him just a little bit of time.
Just a little bit of notice. It's also going to come up like 3 times in this chapter. I think that Crumb is hard at work in the library studying, and Harry and Hermione are going to be like, what on earth is he even doing in here?
Right.
What is the deal with the Crumb? I don't get it. And it's like, Harry, you're sitting here worrying. Crumb is like studying nonstop, as far as I can tell, prepping for the first task. And you will do no preparation.
Crumb gets such a bad rep. like for so much of this book when it's like all he's trying to do is show up and compete.
Yeah.
Like, he's studying diligently in the library. I mean, sure, he will take notice of Hermione while he's there, but how could you not,
How could you not?
Yeah. But then like later, we're going to see him like jumping off like the plank, of the Durmstrang ship. Swimming, in the lake where the second task is going to be.
Yeah.
The guy's he's just getting ready.
I know. It's a miracle. I mean, it's honestly shocking Crumb doesn't do better in the tournament.
It is a little bit shocking.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think then eventually what it always comes down to is that Mad-Eye is, I guess, somehow able to control Crumb where with the Imperious Curse.
Yeah.
Whereas he's just unable to control Cedric due to Cedric's extensive goodness.
His strength of character.
His strength of character.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Things we've thoroughly we've trodden on as far as topics are concerned. Speaking of that, though, with this first line, we have another fortnight's worth of time that has just now passed in the space of one breath.
Boom.
This is, I mean, it's not something we would normally spend too much time on. Of course, I feel like in this book we have, but it's because for like the first 14 chapters, we were basically going on average 1 day at a time, and a fortnight is 2 weeks. So there goes 14 days just right there.
Boom.
Yeah.
Just like that. Yep. The next fortnight. But I love the line here where it says the first task was drawing steadily near. He felt as though it were crouching ahead of him like some horrific monster, which it literally is.
Yes, there is going to be some horrific monster barring your path, Mr. James Potter.
There is.
James Potter.
Here, yes. Let's see. And it's like, it seems like he is worried very bad about it. It's just never suffered nerves like this before. They were way beyond anything that experienced before a Quidditch match, not even his last one against Slytherin. And it's like, yeah, I bet. But, and yet, despite all these nerves, he is not like going to the library, like trying to learn new spells or anything. It is baffling to me.
I know. I mean, it really is though. Like, I think that this is sort of the point of the first task because it's supposed to to test your daring and nerve. And there, I mean, this is kind of like the reason that like the monster under your bed as a child is so scary is because it's dark underneath there. What you're really fearing is the unknown. Mm-hmm. And in so many ways, that can always be worse because the fear of the unknown is just like, it could be anything. So your imagination can go completely wild. The hilarious situation is that in this case, the monster under Harry's bed is a dragon.
Is a dragon
that wants to kill him.
That wants to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is also interesting that he's comparing this to the stress of going into the Quidditch match against Slytherin because by comparison, like back when we're in Prisoner of Azkaban preparing for that match, it does feel so high stakes. It does feel so important. It's such a big deal. But now, like when you know what he's about to be up against, it does almost feel like trivial by nature.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, like rec sports, intramural maybe.
Right.
Like no big deal.
No big deal.
Compared to this.
Yeah. Like this is suddenly being thrust into the finals of the World Cup.
Right.
Yeah. There, as ever in this book, there's just so much like more and more setup for like Harry, the chosen one, Potter, where it says like Harry is finding it hard to think about the future at all. He felt as though his whole life had been leading up to and would finish with the first task. But in actuality, as the subject of the prophecy, his whole life is leading up to and will finish with one specific instance where he fights Voldemort.
Yes.
And we've talked about it before, but like every time a dragon shows up, it tends to like mirror Harry's situation in some way.
Yep.
And so like they're both, him and the Hungarian Horntail will both be like forced into this fight that neither of them really want to be there for.
Right.
But then this one in particular definitely is like the Voldemort dragon. Like these two are forced into battle with one another by circumstances outside their control.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the big one. It's the dangerous one. It's like, the worst possible adversary. Yep. So it definitely mimics what Harry's up against. Let's see here. Then we also get this line here that I think speaks to kind of like Harry's character a little bit. It says, admittedly, he didn't know how Sirius was going to make him feel any better about having to perform an unknown piece of difficult and dangerous magic in front of hundreds of people. I feel like Harry really doesn't like a crowd. He doesn't like to have to do these things in front of people.
Oh, but he does fine at Quidditch.
Well, I guess I guess he does, but that's a good point.
And this is the only one he'll have a crowd for, quite frankly.
That's also true. Yeah, once you underwater, it's like you're not going to hear anything up the surface.
You hear the surface, man?
It's all good.
Yep. I have a nice little line here as well. After that, it says, but the mere sight of a friendly face would be something at the moment. Just more like the power of friendship, like Harry understanding that there are like more important things as usual, even if he doesn't comprehend how he understands them.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And then we also know that like the other big thing that him and Hermione are up against in this chapter is trying to figure out like what to do on like the night in question in the event that people don't clear out of the common room. So they're planning to drop a bag of dung bombs, which is just sort of like a fun little piece of trivia that I'm sure somebody will ask us in the future, and hopefully we remember.
I know.
But they hope that they wouldn't have to resort to that because Filch would skin them alive, which it actually it feels like hyperbole, but it also seems like something that Filch would just be up for.
It does feel like something he'd be up for, but then also like, how on earth would he ever know it was them? You know,
it's a good point.
There just would have been dung bombs in the Gryffindor common room,
especially in a common room that also typically houses Fred and George Weasley.
Yeah.
It's like he's almost certainly going to think it's them.
Absolutely. We also find out that the article that Rita Skeeter published about Harry came out 10 days ago. A very highly colored life story of Harry, continuing on pages 2, 6, and 7. So when Bagman said a short article, he was way wrong. This is a massive article. And some of her journalistic integrity is just like, through the floor bad. But that some of it is like also fairly unforgivable. You could be like, fired for, you could be fired for all the lies she says in the misquotes, period.
Sure.
In the real world. But then even things like the names of the Beauxbaton and Durmstrang champions misspelled had been squashed into the last line of the article. It's like one. Okay. Victor and Crumb, really hard to misspell, especially Crumb, especially the sense Crumb was just the like star of the Quidditch World Cup.
I know.
Like, he's already famous.
Yeah, this is like a huge deal. Like
huge deal.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of what is it in like horse racing or something where if you win like all three of
the Triple Crown.
The Triple Crown. Yeah. Like there's like names for like when you win multiple accolades or whatever within rapid succession. It's like he is going for a double crown here.
He's going for the double crown here, and for him to barely be. This is ridiculous. This would be like if like LeBron James had been like chosen to be in the tournament and nobody cared.
Yes,
it's like, oh yeah, remember that guy who got drafted into the NBA in high school? Well, he's still technically young enough to compete in this high school tournament.
Right.
And yes, he just played in the finals of the NBA championship, but now he's going to compete in this high school tournament.
Exactly.
But
he's
don't even mind that. There's some other kid with glasses here.
Yes, I know. Yeah. It feels like such a ridiculous spin to be placed on things. And it's also very interesting as well, because like, I think, not to like really change the purposes of the conversation away from Harry Potter at all, but like a lot of times when it comes to like celebrity gossip type news, I always can't help but feel like we just don't know everything. Everything that like is going to happen inside of this story. It's like, the whole truth. That Harry didn't say the things that Rita Skeeter is going to say that he said in the article. But like when you see like the Potter Stinks badges and the fact that everybody's like adopting them, and it's like the tide has all sort of like been shifted away from Harry and has all become like very pro Cedric. Like it is not necessarily difficult for me to imagine how the populace of a school would create like this grassroots campaign and be like, everybody's giving attention to the famous kid when our real champion is this other guy,
right,
who is being completely overlooked. And it's like, obviously they transform to say Potter Stinks, but like support Cedric Diggory feels like the type of thing that would be like, he's not getting his necessary like attention. Like he deserves our support. Yes,
absolutely.
So yeah, it really is. It goes to show like how the power of misleading journalism can be such a force.
Oh yeah.
And of course you never have any idea when you're on the receiving end of it. So anyway, Let's see here. The article has appeared 10 days ago. Harry still got a sick, burning feeling of shame in his stomach every time he thought about it. Rita Skeeter had reported him saying an awful lot of things that he couldn't remember ever saying in his life, let alone in that broom cupboard. Yeah, he said a whole bunch of ers.
Yep, and it specifically mentions that it says, but Rita Skeeter had gone even further than transforming his ers into long, sickly sentences. She'd interviewed other people about him too. Like, for example, who does he got? Colin Creevy here. Harry has at last found love at Hogwarts, which I highlighted. It was just like, yeah, pretty obvious. Yeah. Colin is talking about Hermione Granger, to which if I'm Harry, I feel like I got to talk to Colin and be like, Colin, bro, you know we're not dating.
Oh my gosh.
Is that what you think?
I mean, I guess what's happening here is it says that Harry is rarely seen out of the company of one Hermione Granger. And at this point in time, it is at least like kind of true. Like it's true because it's normally a trio of friends and Ron has not been hanging out with them. So I suppose to an onlooker, it's like, well, they do spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
But I still think, yeah, it's like, oh, Colin. It does go on to describe Hermione this way. It says a stunningly pretty muggle-born girl who, like Harry, is one of the top students in the school. This tone is going to change drastically here in just a few chapters, where Hermione is going to be described as plain but ambitious.
Yeah That's gonna come after she goes to the Yule Ball with Crumb.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like Hermione's really being just put like right in the limelight here.
Yeah, absolutely. So she's gonna have to deal with that as well. And then Harry is of course having to endure people quoting the article at him. And it's like weird because the Slytherins are reading this and they're quoting it to him. And it's like, do you think are the Slytherins aware that the information is false? And that's why they're like making fun of him for it. Like, that like we know this is wrong, that it's driving you crazy, so we're gonna like pick on you for it. Or do they think it's true? Like, I can't decide if I think it's worse if they know it's false or if they think it's true.
It feels very classic Draco Malfoy to know it's false and be like loving the fact that it's like now it's out there. Like they won the game. They got to slander him.
It's so weird though, because like on the other hand, it's like if Harry like was able to take this in stride at all, it'd be like, yes, someone wrote an amazing article about me. What are you making fun of me for?
I mean, I literally, yes, like there's the line in the previous article that says, and obviously Harry didn't actually say these things, but it says, yes, sometimes at night I still cry about them, not ashamed to admit it. It's like obviously Harry doesn't say this, but also like there's no shame in this perspective.
Right.
You know, this is a 14-year-old who has lost both of his parents. It's like to be able to open up about such a thing is probably good for like emotional range.
Right. Like this doesn't humanize him at all.
Right. Yeah.
to the readers.
Yes.
Or to the students anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it would be, but like even a lot of the stuff that's written, it's like it's frustrating to us, the readers, because he didn't say it, but also it's like I could completely see this being an interview with like an Olympian, like a lot of times if there's somebody who's favored for like a podium spot or whatever, they'll do a whole like bio about the athlete
absolutely
beforehand, and they'll tell their backstory and their trials and tribulations. And like, if somebody just was given these words as a script, it's like, I do think I get strength from my parents. I think they would be proud of me today. Like,
right.
Like, it's like, who is watching that being like, wow, like that game's a turn.
Can you imagine like knowing that person and being like, hold on, I got to text them. Wow. You cry about your dead parents, nerd.
Exactly.
Like, what are you talking about? No, like who would read that and think that? I don't know.
How terrible are the kids at Hogwarts?
I know. And then this also doesn't. I feel like Pansy Parkinson says, since when have you been one of the top students in the school, Potter? And it's like, what are you talking about? Like Harry, maybe when he saved the Philosopher's Stone and single-handedly won the cup for Gryffindor, or when they solve the mystery of the Chamber of Secrets,
right?
Or like what, like since then,
yeah, it's like he has 3 house cups, a Quidditch cup. He took down Quirrell the Basilisk. Like it's like when was he not?
Yes,
one of the best students in the school.
Right, Harry has been one of the top students in the school since he got there. So yeah, it's like I don't know what they think they're on about here. But then someone comes up to him and says, "Hey, Harry," and this is going to be Cho, and Harry is going to just lash out at her immediately.
I know, yeah. I've just been crying my eyes out over my dead mom, and I'm just off to do a bit more. And my note that I wrote in here is, don't you just hate it when you scream at your crush?
I know.
You know, it's
exactly.
like, oh, dang it, not again.
I know. Yep.
No, it was just, you dropped a quill.
Yeah, it was Cho. Yeah, Harry felt the color in his face rising. Terrible, terrible embarrassment he must be feeling. But you can't help but notice that the article comes out, and you can tell that Cho, I feel like, has read it, and he's like, she's like, oh my gosh, Harry's dating Hermione Granger. I need to step up. I need to step in.
Yeah.
I gotta speak up. You know, I was hoping maybe he would notice me, but clearly I gotta force the issue now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, they kind of have this like awkward exchange as they so often do.
As they do.
In the beginning.
But look, what does she say? What does she say? They have so much in common.
I know.
I know.
It's their favorite vocal crutch.
What do you think she actually meant to say?
I love you from afar. Probably not that. But yeah, good luck on Tuesday. She said, I really hope you
I
do
cry
well.
about my dead boyfriends.
That's not for another year.
I'd cry if you died, Harry.
Oh, man. Anyway, I do feel like the fact that they've had this like little exchange, it totally makes me think that she would have said yes to the Yule Ball.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. If Harry had just asked her first, and it would have changed a whole bunch of things.
Changed a whole bunch of things, you know. They might have solved the whole Voldemort problem a lot sooner. Who's to say? Who's to say? We are. Check out our video. So yeah, Harry ends up leaving that exchange feeling extremely stupid. But then we get this line, which I mean, there's some Cho Harry stuff happening here, but this is a big Hermione chapter as well.
It is, yes.
Yes. Harry was full of admiration for the way she was handling the situation. Not like secret admiration, just a public admirer.
Full. I know. I wrote in a cheeky little note here that says admiration, you say, and then I drew a winky face with a tongue sticking out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But remember that line. Harry was full of admiration for the way she was handling the situation. Pansy Parkinson says, stunningly pretty, huh? And Hermione's response is, ignore it. So just remember that. Moving forward.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. Everyone.
Then we find out that Harry and Ron have to do their detention together.
Yep.
Which is pickling rat brains.
So we've been disemboweling toads and pickling rat brains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. These are the activities that Snape has students up to here in late.
Yeah.
Which is it just sounds horrifying.
It
really
does. Part of me thinks like, as much as this is like obviously gross punishment, part of me wonders if this is like a very slight nod to like him like being, I am on your side because of the whole Wormtail situation.
That's a very good point. Like Snape's sort of like, yes, we're going to be pickling rats' brains.
Brains. You get to handle rat brains because I know you hate rats.
And then Snape gives like a little winky tongue out face.
Yeah. I can't imagine anything less Snape.
Classic Snape.
Classic Snape, you know? Oh man. So, but Harry has settled himself on he would only talk to Ron again if Ron admitted that Harry hadn't put his name in the Goblet of Fire and apologized for calling him a liar, which he will do. Like Ron will do that to Harry in the next chapter.
Oh,
Yeah.
like admit that Harry didn't put his name in the Goblet of Fire and apologize for yeah. It's like, I think he will almost use those exact words.
I think so.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. But it is very funny because like they're going back and forth, and Hermione's like, you miss him, and he misses you, and it is very funny how like pride can really get in your way.
Yeah.
Like even like when both of them want to be friends again, it is like there is this like personality trait that all people possess on some level in varying degrees, where it's just like, why can't I get over this?
I know.
It's a standoff.
Right.
You know,
it's exactly what they're in right here.
Yep.
But then the next sentence, Ben, is just Harry liked Hermione very much. There you go.
Hard stop.
Hard stop.
There's definitely no rest of the end of that sentence that goes on to say, but she just wasn't the same as Ron.
Harry liked Hermione very much. Hermione, y'all. It's right there on the page. But she just wasn't the same as Ron. Maybe Harry loves Ron a whole lot too. Who knows?
That's true. Yeah, there was much less laughter and a lot more hanging around in the library when Hermione was your best friend.
Yep. So we'll also get just a quick reminder, Harry still hadn't mastered summoning charms, but of course he will be in the very next chapter.
Yes, indeed. Yep. Victor Crumb was in the library an awful lot too, and Harry wondered what he was up to. Was he studying or was he looking for things to help him through the first task?
Yeah, probably a good idea, Harry.
Well, yeah, it's like maybe you should take a leaf out of his book, but also how are those two things like? It's as if these are like different suggestions.
Oh, I know.
It's like, was he studying or was he looking up things that could help him through the first task? It's like, aren't those both studying?
Seem like the actual same thing. Also,
Right.
Or is it secret option 3, trying to ask out Hermione?
Well, there could be that, but
Yeah.
Hermione often complained about Crumb being there. Not that he ever bothered them, because groups of giggling girls often showed up to spy on him from behind bookshelves, and Hermione found the noise distracting.
He's not even that good looking, which, thought that didn't matter, Hermione.
Seriously.
Come on. Geez, shallow much?
I mean, so as much as we're harping on the Hermione stuff, do you feel like that line is like a little bit of like Hermione jealousy? Like she's also maybe like took notice of him, but is like trying to like be above it?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Especially because I feel like she goes out of her way to say they wouldn't look twice at him if he couldn't do that wonky faint thing. And Harry has to correct her and be like, Wronski faint. And it's like, it is a smidge unbelievable that Hermione can't remember the name Wronski faint, but can memorize like the entirety of Hogwarts a history.
Yes, I know.
know?
It's like Hermione, you have tremendous recall.
Yeah.
Did you get wonky faint wrong on purpose?
Right. I mean, like she was looking through the omnioculars. It was literally labeled in text, She didn't just like hear it. She read it.
She saw it. Yeah, exactly.
She saw it. And she saw him do it.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But also it's like she's saying like they only like him because he's famous. So, like they wouldn't look twice at him if he couldn't do the Wronski feint. But it's like he is still a champion. Like Cedric is also getting like a lot more attention now that he's champion. But like the fact that any of them are champions is a sheer indication of like their quality of talent as a person.
Right.
Like it's not just Quidditch for Crumb. This is not a Quidditch competition. Like
Right.
It goes to show that he has more depth than that. So if anything, I almost feel like maybe Hermione's not being wholly honest with herself, or maybe her own version of just a scooch shallow.
She's just she's
her
definitely
own way.
lying to herself a little bit in this situation.
But it's okay. I mean, we were all 14 months. So.
Absolutely. That's the thing. You have to remember that about these characters, so that they are only 14.
Right.
Yep. So let's see. Then, we get this sentiment here where Harry notices that whenever you're dreading something and would give anything to slow down time, it has a disobliging habit of speeding up. And it's like, yep, I remember that from every test I ever took in high school.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it does. It does feel like they just comes like ripping at you in no time flat. So kind of a good observation there from old Harold James.
Yep.
Let's see here.
Oh, and then I love this like just bit of hypocrisy here. It says, on the Saturday before the final task, all the students in the 3rd year and above were permitted to visit the village of Hogsmeade, which it's so dumb because last year, if you will recall, Harry was not allowed to visit the village because he didn't have a permission slip signed. But now this year, he is forced to compete in a dangerous tournament that he did not enter.
Yes.
It's like, come on, guys.
You can't go to the nearby village for candy and joke toys, but you can fight a dragon.
Yeah. In fact, you have to.
you have no choice.
No choice at all. But so help me if I see you trying to buy an acid pop Potter. If you look at the Shrieking Shack in person, you will be so expelled from school forever.
Exactly.
We will break your wand.
I like this question though. What about Ron though? He said, "Don't you want to go with him?" And it does feel like Hermione is spending an awful lot of her time with Harry. Like Harry can only spend time with Hermione because these are like the two best pals. But Hermione's still just as good of friends with Ron. But it seems like she's spending a lot of time with Harry.
I know. Just Hermione turns slightly pink. Hermione. There it is again, Ben. It's all over the place.
Slightly pink.
Slightly pink. Like, I just wanted to hang out with you, Harry.
Right. But then it does say, I thought we might meet up with him at the 3 broomsticks.
Bold move, Hermione.
Bold move.
Bold move to try and trick them into this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And then Harry says, fine, whatever. I'll come when I'm not meeting Ron. And I'm wearing my invisibility cloak. To which Hermione gets all in a huff about. She says, oh, all right then, but I hate talking to you under that cloak. I never know if I'm looking at you or not, which not for nothing, Hermione, but this has never happened before.
I know.
Yeah.
But also for Harry, this is such like an overcorrect. Like he was already planning to go to Hogsmeade. She suggests they meet up with Ron and he's like, no, we're not meeting up with Ron. And also I'll be invisible for the day.
Yeah. Like Hermione's like, wait, what? What? We can just not meet up with Ron. That's fine.
It's like, do you still have to be invisible? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. You made me do this, Hermione.
Oh man. But then it is very interesting because he ends up going. It says Harry felt wonderfully free under the cloak. And I do think that this is deeply ironic because I feel like what Ron is upset with Harry over is that Ron feels invisible.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're both battling different sides of the same plight. Like
They definitely are.
Ron doesn't feel like he's getting enough attention. Harry feels like he's getting way too much. They would both kill to be in the other person's position.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm also surprised that after this moment, he doesn't just like wear the cloak all the time. You know, there's no reason he can just like wander around under the cloak and just not have to deal with all of the cat calls and stuff.
It's also very true.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Yep, he could just do this.
Yes, but Hermione is not taking this invisibility cloak situation at all. She's just, people keep looking at me now, said Hermione grumpily as they came out of Honeyduke's sweet shop. You know how like if you enter how when you exit a candy shop, you're usually in a pretty bad mood.
Yeah, constantly.
Yeah. People keep looking at me now, despite just one page ago, Harry was full of admiration for the way she was handling the situation. Ignore it, Hermione said, in a dignified voice. Oh,
See,
yeah.
Maybe what's really happening here is that she wants to be seen out with Harry.
She's like, we were going to be out in public. People were going to see us together. Yeah. Why are you so grumpy? You're so easy for you to ignore the article, and now you're just imagining people staring at you, walking around. Oh, Hermione.
I have a feeling people are going to think we're being too hard on Hermione.
Man, I'm just reading the book.
I love Harry's solve here. Don't move your lips so much then. Yeah, just be a ventriloquist, Hermione.
I love how Harry is having the time of his life under the cloak. He's like, yeah, whatever. I'm eating large cream-filled chocolates. Just don't leave your lips so much, okay? How about that? Have you thought of that? Maybe just don't like talking much. So they came out eating large cream-filled chocolates. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Yep.
Let's see. Then they run into Rita Skeeter and her photographer friend Bozo.
Yep.
Coming out of the Three Broomsticks. They despite everyone apparently noticing Hermione, they don't, because of course Rita Skeeter doesn't actually care about Hermione. She just wants the publicity from her own article for herself. But otherwise, you'd think she would be like zeroing in on Hermione, and be like, "Oh, you're that girl that Harry Potter's in love with."
Yep.
Yeah, and wanted to talk to her a lot.
Right. So then they come. I think Harry comes to the conclusion she's staying in the village, but she's coming to watch the first task. And as he said it, his stomach flooded with a wave of molten panic. I hate that feeling.
Yep.
He didn't mention this. He and Hermione hadn't discussed what was coming in the first task much, which to me feels downright shocking.
Shocking.
Like you're spending this much time with Hermione Jean Granger, and it's like this is like her thing is like preparation, being ahead of the curve, reading books, like filling yourself with knowledge.
What are they doing in the library?
Exactly.
You know, it's like, is all of this just SPEW still?
They could be studying or looking for ways to get past the first task.
I know, like whatever that is, just sort of like general prepare for anything kind of spells, you know? Maybe, but maybe not. Yeah.
Anyway, but then Rita Skeeter's gone, and it says, "Why don't we go and have a butterbeer in the Three Broomsticks? It is a bit cold, isn't it?"
Yeah, you don't have to talk to Ron, she added irritably. Yeah, because that would be just the worst thing ever. We also, it mentions that Hogsmeade is the only all wizard village in Britain, which like kind of hard to believe, but I guess it is. And it was a bit of a haven for creatures like hags, which if you don't know what a hag is, it's like a humanoid. It's like what you imagine as like a witch looking like in fairy tales, kind of like covered in warts and kind of like gross looking and stuff. Yeah.
I was reading up a little bit on hags, and it also includes that they have a taste for human flesh.
Gross.
And it's kind of like, I'm surprised that they hang here.
Yeah, right? Not good. Doesn't seem like they'd be allowed.
Yeah, maybe not, but you never know, I guess.
Yep.
Let's see. Harry does spot Ron, who was sitting with Fred and George and Lee Jordan. It says Harry was resisting the urge to give Ron a good hard poke in the back of the head. He finally reached the table and sat down at it. A poke in the back of the head feels like such a kind of goofy prank to pull whilst under invisible cover.
I know. Last year he was throwing like I want to say like particularly ripe, foul-smelling green mud at Malfoy, and now he can't even poke Ron in the back of the head.
I know, seriously.
Jeez.
You're supposed to be best friends.
I know. Hermione joined him a moment later, slipped him a butterbeer under his cloak. You know, just slipping it under the cloak there. There you go. Whoop. There. Nice. So nice of her. So nice of her. And then but Hermione is not one who can like eat lunch by herself in public.
No. Yeah.
I look like such an idiot sitting here on my own. Lucky I brought something to do.
Yeah. She pulls out her notebook, which is where she's keeping record for the SPEW members. Harry saw him and Ron's name at the very top of a very short list. And I do think this is kind of funny because next year in Order of the Phoenix, she will also create a list of people once again for Dumbledore's army, which will be a much more successful list.
Yes. Do you think the SPEW list is like enchanted in the same way the Dumbledore's armies list is?
Oh,
like if you try to leave, it just says like spew on your face,
or like if you're like rude to like a house elf, it's like oh man, that would be rough.
Boy, Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Neville, I guess, are in trouble.
Indeed.
For this short list, because I think those are the only 4 names on it so far.
Right. Yep. I believe you're right. Yep. But yeah, so she pulls out her notebook and she's like, luckily I brought something to do, but I am a little bit curious. What are you going to do?
I know. Got out her notebook, just like start taking more notes, I guess. Pretty sure Harry's the secretary, so maybe give that to him.
Exactly.
Last I checked.
Slide that back under the cloak too. Harry's got like a little desk going on under his invisible
Hold
cloak.
on. Mm-hmm.
How to be doing the minutes?
Yeah, she's just like, Hermione's just conducting a meeting to nobody.
Then people might start looking at you.
Then they might, yes. Yeah. Man, I know. He says, I love his response. He goes, maybe I should try to get some of the villagers involved in SPEW. And Harry's like, yeah, right. Hermione, when are you going to drop the spew stuff?
Harry is just shooting from the hip right now. It's like,
why don't you try not moving your mouth so much? He's in such a good mood.
I'm just so jazzed. I'm invisible.
I'm invisible.
Yeah.
It's the best. Yeah. He's just sort of coming right out of it. But Hermione's not having it. And she's saying, nope, not doing that when house elves have decent wages and working conditions. I think it's time for more direct action. I want to get to the school kitchens. And Harry's like, ask friend George, which she does.
Yeah, she does indeed.
Yeah.
Then we get a look around the rest of the 3 broomsticks. We see Ernie Macmillan and Hannah Abbott swapping chocolate frog cards at a nearby table. Just a little piece of trivia for you there that, again, you could probably ask us in the future and we'll almost certainly get wrong.
I would love to know how the conversation went between these two. Like, did they just like both bring all their chocolate frog cards, or was Ernie just like, Hannah, you want to go down to 3 broomsticks, swap some cards this Saturday? Is this like a date they're on?
Oh,
maybe.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. I can see it. Good for both of them.
Yeah.
They're both wearing support Cedric Diggory badges, but
which also means they're wearing Potter Stinks badges.
It does mean that, and yet they're going to join his club willingly next year. So,
exactly.
Whatever. Right over by the door, though, Cho and a large group of her Ravenclaw friends. She wasn't wearing a Cedric badge, though. This cheered up Harry very slightly. It's like, dude. Like, it's surprising, is it not? Like
that what?
That she's not wearing a Cedric Diggory badge.
I mean,
like she's not giving him a whole lot of special treatment or anything.
Because she likes Harry.
That's what
Harry's
I'm
reading the signs, man. He's like, okay, here's the thing though. She's not wearing a support Cedric Diggory badge.
Right.
So
I wonder if when Cedric asks her to the Yule Ball and they're like walking in together, he's like, so why weren't you wearing a badge?
I think Cedric probably doesn't like the badges.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because Cedric is such a good guy.
But he must notice. But see, this is how Cedric. If I was Cedric though, and I noticed that she wasn't wearing it, it'd be like, well, that's just because she doesn't want to wear the Potter Stinks badges. So, you know, that actually makes me like her more because she has more character. Like me.
Like me. Yeah. Okay.
It's not because she likes Harry. It's because she doesn't like bullying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, I follow that logic.
Yeah.
That seems to fit with Cedric's values very well.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can rationalize it however he wants.
Boy, we are good at both loving and respecting Cedric and dishing on him so constantly.
Constant vigilance, Ben.
Oh, man.
Constant vigilance.
Where is Moody? I feel like he's due to show up.
Oh, he's about to show up at the bottom of the next page here. So Harry has a quick daydream about what it would be like if he wasn't a champion. He'd be really looking forward to the first task, cheering on Cedric with everyone else, safe in the seat, back of the stands. It'd have been great. Just like a vision of somebody else's life, which is pretty much how his whole life is. Like, it's so hard for him to be normal because of Voldemort.
Yeah.
Like this constant problem.
Although I hate that in Harry's own daydream, he has bad seats.
I know. Harry, why don't you just sit in the front of the stands, man?
Cheering on Cedric with everyone else safe in a seat at the back.
At the back of the stands.
Here, this is your daydream, man.
Maybe he's like back there with Cho and they're just not even watching. Oh, you know, he's just like,
we got like a under the bleachers action.
That's right. They're under the cloak. It's like, isn't this great? No one can see us.
He's like, let me show you my super cool invisible cloak.
Yeah.
Okay, to be fair though, that would be so cool.
That would be so cool.
Like, definitely. If you have one, definitely show anybody who will see it.
I know,
or
they can't. Exactly. But next up, Hagrid and Moody arrive in the pub. Hagrid is leaning low, talking to him. Moody drinking from his hip flask, and we learn that Moody had told them all during their last defense against the dark arts lesson that he preferred to prepare his own food and drink at all times, as it was so easy for dark wizards to poison an unattended cup. Just more absolute brilliance by Barty Crouch Jr. here, who is doing the exact opposite of what he's telling the students, but justifying it at the same time.
Exactly. Yep. He is always so good at taking a piece of information and using it to enforce his position when in fact it is actually the suspicious thing that he is doing.
Yes. So because of course he actually just is a dark wizard, and the reason he's always drinking from his flask is because it's the polyjuice potion in there, and that's how he's constantly staying transformed.
Exactly.
Yep. But so they are in the pub, apparently not going to be there for very long because it's not like they stay for a drink or anything. They basically walk in. Moody spins around the pub, pauses his magical eye in the corner where Harry was standing, and then just taps Hagrid and says, "Oh, Potter's over there at the Granger. Let's go talk to them." Yeah.
Yeah. So Hagrid comes over, and he's incredibly covert, as Hagrid always is. All right, Hermione, said Hagrid loudly. Hello, said Hermione, smiling back. Moody limped around the table and bent down. Harry thought he was reading the SPEW notebook until he muttered, "Nice cloak, Potter."
This one sentence is such a problem.
I know.
I mean,
it's how? Why?
How?
True, false? Like, is he just using context clues? Like,
I know.
I mean, they've made a big deal about how Hermione looks ridiculous by sitting by herself. So maybe it's just like, well, she can't be sitting by herself. That doesn't make any sense.
Harry's probably there. Can you see the rack spurts floating around Harry's head? I mean, who's to say?
Who's to say?
Can he actually see through the cloak? You know, it feels like that's too powerful of an ability for his eye, but we have covered this every which way we can think of over on SCB. Like,
I know
it is how can he see through the cloak? How can he see through it?
It's a Deathly Hallow.
It's a Deathly Hallow.
So can your eye mean, I mean, can you? Yeah, it can see through invisibility cloaks, Moody said quietly, and it's come in useful at times, I can tell you. Which I also find to be kind of surprising. Like, you know, not that Moody hasn't been like a dark wizard catcher for a very long time, but at bare minimum, we know that going back to the trials, it is almost absolutely the case that Moody doesn't get his magical eye until after the First Wizarding War is over. Mm-hmm. And we've been living in a relative calm ever since. So it's like, it almost seems like all he could be doing as like an Auror is handling more like, maybe not so far as like petty crime, but like not dark wizard crime.
Right.
You know, not on the scale of like, you know, Voldemort and Death Eaters and that type of thing.
Yeah, more like on the scale of like Mundungus Fletcher or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. But then, of course, we know that part of the reason that they've come over here is because Hagrid is going to suggest to Harry that he come and meet him at his cabin at this very evening at midnight. So the fact that Moody is right there with him is also part of like the way that Moody is pulling strings by basically suggesting to Hagrid, like, you should definitely show Potter the dragons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's probably why they even came in the pub, because they don't get anything to drink. They just like, I can imagine Moody spotted Harry beforehand and was like, oh, why don't we step in here real quick?
Yeah, so get out of the cold.
Yeah, and then once they're in there, he fakes like, oh my gosh, Potter's over there. Let's go do a thing. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he's just manipulating the entire situation here.
Yep.
And he says, let's see. I wonder whether Hermione doesn't know whether that he should go visit Hagrid that night at midnight because he's supposed to be meeting Sirius at 1:00 in the common room, to which I'm like, yeah, even if you were just going down to Hagrid's and coming right back up, it feels like you'd be cutting it close.
It does feel that way. And then, but what we will also learn is that the dragons are far enough away that they can let out ear-splitting roars that you can't hear until you get closer to them.
Right.
So it's like you're walking what must be quite the distance.
Quite the distance away, yeah. And it is remarkable because this is the only thing Harry has been looking forward to for like a couple of weeks now.
Right.
And which is almost surprising too that Sirius couldn't find a way to communicate with him any sooner than this. But I guess he couldn't.
Right.
For plot convenience, reasons.
Yep. But so then the other thing that's kind of interesting here, it says at 11:30 that evening, Harry, who had pretended to go to bed early, pulled the invisibility cloak back over himself and crept back downstairs to the common room. Quite a few people were still there. The Creevy brothers had managed to get a hold of a stack of support Cedric Diggory badges. We're trying to bewitch them to say support Harry Potter. But then he'd worked it out with Hermione in advance, basically to come through the portrait of the fat lady so that he could like leave without it just opening randomly into the Gryffindor common room. But the 11:30 means that Harry is leaving a half hour early to get down to Hagrid's as well.
Right.
Which means if he needs to get back by 1, it means he needs to be heading back no later than 12:30.
Yeah. There's that. And we're going to know he's going to be walking way further than Hagrid. Is he a 30-minute walk from Hagrid's?
I mean,
in the Gryffindor common room?
Maybe so.
I guess so. Maybe he's trying to get there early to give himself more time or something.
Possibly.
This also means that Hermione is out way past curfew and without the invisibility cloak.
I know.
Out there. Like what a nice thing they're doing. Just a nice little late night arrangement they had together. Some might call it a date. I don't know. Something like.
He slipped past her with a whispered thanks and set off through the castle. Teamwork makes the dream work, Jay.
Teamwork makes the dream work, Exactly.
Maybe they could be in the back row of somewhere.
Maybe. Too bad Harry's in the tournament.
That's a reference to his daydream from earlier where he's in the back row.
Yeah. In the back row, not in the front row. Even in your, what is that in? Like even in your daydreams, you're not like winning or something. I can't remember. I'm gonna crossword brain that one.
Okay.
All right. I also love this description. It says the grounds were very dark. Harry walked down the lawn towards the light shining in Hagrid's cabin. The inside of the enormous Beauxbaton carriage was also lit up. Harry could hear Madame Maxime talking inside it as he knocked on Hagrid's front door. So just imagine this, right? Harry is knocking on Hagrid's front door. Many yards away, the Beauxbaton carriage is parked, and Harry, remember, it's like 11:59 right now.
Right.
Harry can hear Madame Maxime speaking so loudly that her voice is carrying all the way to Hagrid's.
Yes.
Like she's essentially shouting at 11:59 while presumably all of her 12 students are trying to sleep.
Yes. The Beauxbaton students are like, Madame Maxime, could you please keep it down? Just a little bit.
Please. Go to bed.
She's like, nope, I'm going out.
Who's she even talking to?
Who knows?
Who
knows?
Right? Floor, I guess. Maybe. Up late studying, not in the library. But whatever. She comes over to Hagrid, says, got something to show ya. Was he wearing a flower that resembled an oversized artichoke?
I love that. That's a good piece of trivia right there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does his flower look like?
Yep.
I'll never remember it, but I love it.
I know. Poor Hagrid. He's tried his best here. He tries to comb his hair, but his hair is so tough it breaks the comb, and now the teeth are stuck in it. Like, better off just going scraggly at that point.
At that point, I know. Yeah, too bad. But at least he tried. I mean, it's endearing at the very least.
Yes.
Come with me and keep quiet and keep yourself covered with that cloak, said Hagrid. We won't take Fang. He won't like it.
Yeah, I bet he would not.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Nope.
Let's see here. So then we leave the cabin. Hagrid's leading him over to the Beauxbatons carriage. Hagrid, what? Shh, said Hagrid. And he knocked 3 times on the door bearing the crossed golden wands.
Yep. And down comes Madame Maxime wearing her silk shawl wrapped around her massive shoulders, to which now you have to wonder, like, in this moment, is Madame Maxime, does she like Hagrid or is she just using him?
It's a good question because it really seems like she likes him all the way up till the Yule Ball when, like, they're out having what seems like a good conversation.
Right.
And then he brings up sort of being like
the
half giant
yeah.
and then she's deeply offended.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know. It's hard to know. The way that Jim Dale does the delivery is so uncomfy.
Yes.
It's like, Hagrid, is it time?
And Hagrid's response is, bong sewer.
Bong sewer. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir is what he's trying to say, which just means good evening in French. But I love that he says bong sewer.
I would just like a t-shirt that just says bong sewer.
Bong sewer. And we'll all know.
We'll all know. If you know the joke, you know the joke.
Gosh. That sounds like a great pin for Tor. Just like Hagrid, but then down in his beard, you've got like the comb bits and it says bong sewer.
I love it. Yep. That's a good one.
All right. Yeah.
That's the merch nobody's made yet.
Yeah. Definitely not.
Right. But then, Harry's still sort of confused because he still has no information. Clearly, Hagrid has double booked this date.
Yeah.
He offers his arm to Madame Maxine. They set off on a walk. Had Hagrid wanted to show Harry Madame Maxine, he could see her any old time he wanted. She wasn't exactly hard to miss.
Can you imagine if that was Hagrid's idea?
He's like,
if that's actually what it was.
Right. It's like, Harry, I need you to see this. I'm going on a date.
You're not going to, I need you there for moral support, Harry. But if I need you to feed me lines.
I actually do remember plenty of instances when we were in high school where I was like, Jay, will you come with me to this thing because I'm going and I'm nervous to go alone.
Oh.
You always did come though.
Oh, well.
Good brother. Good brother.
Doing what I can.
Let's see here. It seemed that Madame Maxime was in for the same treat as Harry because after a while she said playfully, "Where is it you are taking me, Hagrid?"
Killer Madame Maxime. I think she's using him at this point.
You do? Okay.
I think she is. I think she, it works out because eventually it seems like they are having a better time at the Yule Ball without so much like secrecy involved and stuff. Right. And then they will go on to make up after that and spend more time together.
Well, this is true.
So I think it all works for them. But I feel like at this point maybe it's like, maybe a little questionable on her end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Basically, it seems like they start walking, and I feel like a lot of times the Harry Potter books will do this same thing where it's like time is so squirmy where it's like it's describing it as if like Harry's like checking his watch like every now and then. It's like, I could see a world where it's like if it was checking his watch like every few seconds or something, to be like, how much further? But this definitely leads you to believe that they're walking for like a long time.
And still they walked. Yes, he had to jog along to keep up, checking his watch every now and then. That seems like, 5 minutes or so. I don't know. Minutes are passing between watch checks. At least.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. But then he heard something. Men were shouting up ahead, and then came a deafening, ear-splitting roar.
But that they cannot apparently hear at the castle. So they are dragon roars count distance away from the castle.
Yeah, whatever that distance
is. Someone do that math.
Like 2 leagues.
Couple of leagues,
Yeah, just a rough
Easily.
approximation.
Dragons.
I know. And then I wrote gasp next to the dragons.
Yep.
I'm
It is
totally
nice the way that the book is done. Like, I'm sure it's just a lucky coincidence, but dragons is the last word on this page. And it's like dragons. Oh, man. I got to turn the page.
Turn the page, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to sleep after that.
I'm not going to sleep after that. Yeah. It's not exactly the last word in the chapter, but here we go. 4 fully grown, enormous, vicious-looking dragons were rearing onto their hind legs inside an enclosed fence with thick planks of wood, roaring and snorting. So if you remember back to the chapter art, it shows all 4 dragons inside of one giant wooden crate. That is accurate chapter art.
Yes.
It is all 4 dragons inside one big box.
One big box. Yep, there was a silver blue one with long pointed horns, a smooth scaled green one, which was writhing and stamping with all its might, a red one with an odd fringe of fine gold spikes around his face, and a gigantic black one, more lizard-like than the others, which was nearest to them.
Yes.
So I think even the fact that like the Hungarian Horntail is like sort of got this like darkness coated like layer to it is very like Dark Lord. You know, vibe.
Like more lizard-like, more snake-like than the rest of them.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Yep. Very foreboding.
Yep.
At least 30 wizards, 7 or 8 to each dragon, were attempting to control them, pulling them on the chains connected to heavy leather straps around their necks and legs. It says, Harry looked up high above him and he saw the eyes of the black dragon with vertical pupils like a cat's. I always picture this, and I know I shouldn't because I'm sure it's not correct at all, like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh.
Like so much less dangerous all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it's definitely way bigger than Toothless.
Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely has way more teeth.
Yes. Yeah. Probably less retractable.
More of a teethful kind of dragon.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, teethful.
Teethful.
That's what we'll name this one.
Yeah, teethful. Toothful.
Toothful. Oh, maybe I like toothful better.
Toothful. Okay. Toothful, the Hungarian Horntail. I guess it's a she, I guess. I don't know, right?
Toothfulette.
Toothfulette. Yeah, I guess toothful isn't necessarily masculine per se.
No,
Yeah.
it's made up.
It's made up. We're making it up right now.
Yeah. But then we do find out that it takes about 7 to 8 wizards per dragon to stun them, which they then do, and they're able to get them all kind of calmed down. So it must also be the case that this is the arrival of the dragons.
I suppose it is the arrival of the dragons, and we will find out that Charlie Weasley is there with them. Although I think this line is funny. He says, they should be okay now. We put them out with a sleeping draft on the way here. Thought it might be better for them to wake up in the dark and quiet. But like you saw, they weren't happy. Not happy at all. To which, like, every time we've heard about Charlie Weasley, he's off in Romania studying dragons. And I'm like, it doesn't sound like studying is going very well. Like, feels like you should know how to handle them by now, you know?
Right. Yeah. You're not exactly doing the world's greatest job of understanding what they want.
Right.
But Hagrid breezes over that immediately. He says, what breeze you got here? This is when we get the introduction to everything. The Hungarian Horntail, the common Welsh green. The smaller one is the Swedish short snout, the blue-gray, and the Chinese fireball. That's the red.
Yeah. And the champions aren't supposed to know what's coming. She's bound to tell her students, isn't she? And it's like, yep, that's exactly what it is. And Hagrid's, of course, like, I just thought she'd like to see him. Like, do you think Hagrid knows he's cheating, or does he think that she'll just be like totally good about it?
It's a really good question, because I guess to be fair, Hagrid is also cheating here.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Brought Harry.
Right.
So,
he's like, yeah, let me help Harry out here. And then Madame Maxime, I'm sure, won't tell Fleur.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really romantic date, Hagrid. Yeah, I'll say everyone's getting so romantic in this chapter.
I know. Yeah, there's just love in the air.
Yep. So Charlie says they just have to get past them. And then he says, I don't know why, but I'll tell you this. I don't envy the one who gets the Horntail. Vicious thing. Its back end's as dangerous as its front. Which I just circled that. And it's like, yeah, I wonder which one Harry is going to get.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if it was just like Fleur and it's just like, oh, yeah, well, I was lucky for Harry.
That worked out well.
What do you know? He got the common Welsh green. Good for him.
Not so bad.
Not so bad.
We also learned that it has bronze colored spikes, which I feel like is just another good piece of little trivia just to lob out.
Yep.
Then we found out that they are nesting. They're all mothers and they all have eggs. And Charlie's like, I've got them counted, Hagrid.
Yeah.
He then asks about Harry and just hope that he's still fine after he's faced this lot, said Charlie. Didn't tell Mom what they're going to have to do for the first task. And it's like, this is where you get like a little bit of the other perspective of Rita Skeeter's article.
Yes, like how it hit the adults.
Yes.
How could they let him into that tournament? He's much too young. I thought they were all safe. I thought there was going to be an age limit. There was an age limit. He's still crazy about his parents. Oh, bless him. I never knew. To which this is like a little bit bittersweet. It's like, it's nice that she's having this particular reaction, but less nice that she's believing what Rita Skeeter is writing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. But so Harry does say that the first shock was over now. Maybe if he'd seen the dragons for the first time on Tuesday, he would have just passed out cold in front of the whole school.
Yeah.
But maybe this way, anyway, he was going to be armed with his wand, which just now felt like nothing more than an arrow strip of wood.
Yep.
Relatable sentiment. Yeah, I totally get that.
Relatable, yeah. And he's like wondering how is he going to get past them all? But how is, of course, with the summoning charm and the firebolt. That'll happen next chapter. Yep. And then Harry's like, all right, I think I pretty much got the gist of this. I'm going to leave Hagrid to his date, and starts leaving the forest and just runs smack into Karkaroff, because no matter how stealthy you think Harry Potter, the youngest seeker in a century, is under an invisible cloak, he will find a way to be caught or run into or something.
I mean, the fact that this happens in what is otherwise a gigantic open field, it is almost comical that you would run into one another.
Yeah. But he does, and Karkaroff, I guess, eventually thinks he just like ran into a branch or something. I also think that's so funny that like Madame Maxime and Karkaroff are like out there actively cheating, and Dumbledore is just so content to let Harry and Cedric go in blind. Like Dumbledore is doing nothing to help.
Dumbledore is trying to find someone to have a drink with him tonight.
I know. He's like down to the 3 broomsticks.
Johnny!
Where is everyone? Could have thought. I would have sworn Hagrid or Maxime or Karkaroff would have been here.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
But no.
Nope. Poor Dumbledore.
But so Karkaroff obviously heading in the direction where the dragons were. Harry does then make it back up to the Gryffindor common room. He had 5 minutes left to get up there. He used the password Balderdash, which I want to say Balderdash is the most like used password
ever
that we ever see.
It has been the password now for almost 3 full months.
Right. Yeah. All of September, all of October. Now we're most of the way into November. So they're not changing it very often.
Nope. I think it'll change to fairy lights at the Yule Ball.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is when like the Ravenclaws would be like, wait, we have to answer a riddle every time we come back, and they remembered one word.
They remembered one word for a quarter of the year.
Do you want to know what they would say to that?
Yeah.
It's straight Balderdash.
It's Balderdash. They're like, that's it.
That's exactly you guys are smart.
Oh my gosh. Maybe that's how it happens. Like Flitwick was like, so how do you get into the Gryffindor common room? It's like, I just make up a password and give it to him. And he's like, we have to give a different answer every single time. And she's like, every time you just have one word? He's like, yeah. And he goes, that's Balderdash. And she's like, that's a great password. Thank you. I'll use it for most of the year just to add insult to injury.
Yeah, I'm taking that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because McGonagall's over there like, yeah, you guys wanted me to be in your house, but look, now I'm over here with the easy password house.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway,
I can just see those exchanges, like the Ravenclaws feeling very superior about it. Oh, you guys just have a single word for your password, okay? Like, it's so easy. And they're like, yeah, how many times have you been locked out of yours because you didn't know the answer? And they're like, no, 7, whatever.
Yeah, well, whatever.
It's fine. So they're hard sometimes, okay? Circle doesn't have a beginning. You kidding me with that?
Maybe there's only like 9 riddles.
Yeah, draw a circle without a beginning. I dare you.
Right.
How do you not start?
It's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one.
Anyway, so when Harry gets in there, he sees that the Creepy Brothers had not necessarily been successful. All they were able to do is change the Potter Stinks badges to now read Potter Really Stinks, which, again, I kind of go back to Draco's ingenuity here, because we know that he was up all night making these pins.
We know.
He was so excited. He saw what Hermione was doing with SBEW. He was deeply inspired. And then fantastic coding machine that Draco Malfoy was like, okay, if somebody tries to tamper with this, I have a back door set up that's going to make it worse for them. So don't even try it, because I already thought of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the fireworks where they're like, you try and put them out, they just multiply.
Exactly. Yep.
You try and fix this, it gets worse. You don't even want to know what happens if you try and fix it like 10 times. So I've programmed Potter insults in here, which then begs the question, why wouldn't you just start with the worst insults?
It's a good point. It's
Yeah.
a good point. Maybe because what you want to do is like the mounting anger.
You want
you want it to be getting worse for somebody who's trying to foil your plans.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It just keeps getting really bad.
Oh man.
Anyway, though, then Harry looks around and jumps because Sirius's head was sitting in the fire. If he hadn't seen Mr. Diggory's do exactly this back in the Weasley's kitchen, it would have scared him out of his wits.
Yeah. Nice payoff there.
Yes, indeed. But when we saw Amos Diggory in the fire, it's like we're being introduced to that piece of technology specifically so that when it happens now, we the reader are more adapted to it.
Yes.
But it also works well in the situation for Harry in universe.
This is one of those where I hate it in the movie where he just sort of like becomes the logs and the ashes. I'm like, just put his head in there.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay,
It'll
put
be
his
fine.
head in there.
Yeah. They'll fix it, Jay.
Yeah. It says, but the hair was short and clean now. It's another thing they don't really do in the movies to kind of keep him with the long hair the whole time.
Right.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. He looked much younger, like the only photograph Harry had of him, which had been taken at the Potter's wedding. This is just another one of those reminders that I feel like it's so overlooked because of the movie depictions. But all of the Marauders and Lily and Snape are supposed to be like mid 30s. Like Lupin has like the
Yes,
lycanthropy, so like it kind of makes sense that like he's got like a more weathered look.
Yeah.
You know, his clothing, it's like harder to upkeep.
Yeah, because James is like 21 when Harry is killed, and it's only been like 10 years or 14 years since then, so they're like mid 30s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
By now. But let's see. And I guess Sirius, it makes sense for him to look a little older too, because he's been in Azkaban for 13 years.
12 years.
12 years. Sorry.
We always get that wrong.
I know. And then there's I feel this is such like a heart-wrenching moment here for Harry because he like for like 10 minutes here sort of like has a parent and just like word vomits every problem he's had the whole year about Ron not believing him, Rita Skeeter, doesn't mention Hermione or anything. Guess he's not really complaining about those rumors, you know. Just saying, you know. Sometimes it's what you don't do, like when Cho's not wearing a badge.
Exactly. It's,
Yeah.
How did Rita Skeeter describe her at this chapter? Hang on, let me go back to it. It's like I've been hanging out with this stunningly pretty Muggle-born girl.
Yeah.
You'd love her.
You'd love her.
wait
You'd
to
love her,
introduce you.
Sirius. I guess
Yeah.
they've met.
You already know her.
You already know her.
She's awesome.
Yeah. Remember how she bombarded you out of that tower in the movies?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the books, that was just hello, Hamora.
Hello, Hamora.
Click.
Oh, click. They need better security, man.
They do.
Hello, Hamora. Click makes it sound like he could have just opened it.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just punch the window out.
Yeah. I guess he would need to jump. If only he knew the name of the wind, he could land softer than thistledown.
Look at you going.
Anyway.
Dude, don't get me started on Name of the Wind.
I know.
You know better.
I know.
It's a Harry Potter podcast. Let's see here.
Dragons we can deal with, Harry, but we'll get to that in a minute. Which I'm just like, dude, maybe start with the dragons, though.
Why don't we get to it now?
Why don't we get to it now? Let's talk about it now.
Yes.
Yeah. But Sirius has more important things, like revealing to Harry that Karkaroff is a Death Eater. Gasp. You know what Death Eaters are, don't you? And he's like, yes. And he says, I'd bet everything. That's why Dumbledore wanted an aura at Hogwarts this year. And you can tell Ludo Bagman, I'm surprised he doesn't pop out of the corner like, what? You taking bets? Sirius Black? You taking bets? I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet.
I will take that action.
I'll take that bet.
We're talking like 10 galleons?
We're talking like 10 gallons. We're talking like
10
100 gallons, you know? Let's make it 100. Let's make it 100.
And
I'll
even
do it.
100. Yeah. And no big
Even
deal.
100, you know?
I
You
got
still
you
have
down.
access to your vault, right? You bought Harry a Firebolt last year? Amazing. He should use that against the Horntail. Speaking of which, you want to think about on Harry's odds against Horntail?
Let's do 100 galleons.
Let's do 100 gallons on that. I think I'll give you great odds. Yeah.
Classic Ludo. He's just everywhere, isn't he?
He's everywhere.
Why did they release him? Harry said. He did a deal with the Ministry of Magic, said Sirius bitterly. He said he'd seen the error of his ways and then named names. He put a load of other people in Azkaban in his place. He's not very popular in there, I can tell you. So this is kind of an interesting one because it's like this kind of goes back to like the like line from Barty Crouch Jr. as Mad-Eye Moody, where he's like, there's nothing worse than a Death Eater who walked free. And it's like, this is that sentiment.
This is that Death Eater who walked free, who was caught and then walked free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It also casts a little bit of warning towards Victor Crumb. So watch out for the Durmstrang champion as well, which actually just ends up being like kind of misguided advice. I mean, it better to be cautious, I guess, but like also
it is misguided advice. But you've also spent the chapter hearing about how Crumb has constantly been in the library, and you're like, wait, is he there like watching Harry or something now?
that's a good point. Yeah, so
Yeah.
a little bit of suspicion supposed to be building there.
Yeah.
I never feel like the red herring towards Crumb ends up being as fully fleshed out.
No, not really. I agree with you. It's not, especially like by the Yule Ball. It's especially just like quashed when like Hermione's just like vouching for him up and down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Unless it's supposed to raise more suspicion.
I
We're supposed to be like,
Oh
who
yeah,
is
like
this?
what if Ron was right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that would have been
Ooh.
such an interesting like turn.
I know that would be. That would be.
Oh. But see, there's also like Harry's good instincts here. He says, "But he's saying Karkaroff put my name in the goblet because if he did, he's a really good actor." He seemed furious about it. Like Harry's hearing this and he's like, "Yeah, but that doesn't exactly add up." But Sirius has an answer ready for him.
Yes, he's like, we know he's a good actor because he convinced the Minister of Magic to set him free, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's like that's a good point, but Harry's instincts were still right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, which is so often the case with Harry. It's like
Yep.
he's kind of got like this a sixth sense for these types of things.
Yep. But let's see. He says, but I don't think so. Somehow I think someone tried to stop him from getting to Hogwarts. Okay, so this is them talking about Moody getting attacked the night before he started. And it's like he's so close to being right here that someone didn't try. I mean, someone did try to stop him from getting to Hogwarts, but like they don't realize that in stopping him, they've replaced him.
Yes.
Like, and that's like you can tell Sirius is putting a lot of the pieces together very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially with what is otherwise probably fairly limited information. Like, I mean, he's just
Yeah.
getting scraps from the Daily Prophet here and there. Like, he's undercover himself. Like, so he's doing a good job of doing probably what Sirius would have been doing.
He's
if he-
basically theory crafting. He's just doing what we're doing. He's like, these are the clues I have, and this is what makes sense. So,
So Sirius Black is the Super Carlin brothers confirmed.
there you go.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is good. This is good news for us.
Cool.
Let's see here.
Then Sirius is vouching for Moody is the thing that like it continues to happen. It says Moody was the best Auror of the Ministry ever had. Boom, and it's like there you go. And it's like you want to believe Sirius so much because like he was misaccused for an entire book.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep. And so I mean that really is going to go to massive lengths to start reinforcing the idea that Moody is no one to worry about.
Yep.
Which almost, I mean, it's so frustrating. I mean, it's not frustrating. It's part of the fun of the story, but like, it's like everywhere every other character looks suspicious. It's like you can see it like the way that it's all been so like double written.
Yeah.
It's like you're able to like misinterpret everything the right and wrong way based on how you need to be guided through the story to get to exactly where you're supposed to be, which I think is why I ended up loving Goblet so much because it's just like a huge whodunit.
It
like,
is a huge whodunit. Yeah, like at the end of the day, and then there's still like so much fun lore happening as well.
Yes.
But then we get the updates on Bertha Jorkins. She disappeared in Albania, and that's definitely where Voldemort was rumored to be last. And she would have known the Triwizard Tournament was coming up, would she? Yeah, she was the perfect person to kidnap, basically. But Harry, then this is less good. I mean, it's still good instincts, but again, he's actually wrong here. He says, it's not very likely she'd have walked straight into Voldemort, is it? Said Harry. And it's like, that's true. And yet,
and yet,
it did happen.
listen, I knew Bertha Jorkins, and she was an idiot. Very nosy, but no brains, none at all.
It's not a good combination, Harry. I'd say it would have been easy to lure her into a trap, which is exactly what happened.
That is exactly what happened.
Yes.
Yep. So
Yep, so-
Voldemort could have found out about the tournaments at Harry. Is that what you mean? You think Karkaroff might be here on his orders? It's like this. That's where I'd be like, man, this plan must have been set up for quite some time because Karkaroff was already.
He was already going to be there. So that's the problem with that particular plan.
Right.
And then, of course, Sirius was just like, I don't know. Karkaroff doesn't strike me as the type who'd go back to Voldemort unless he knew Voldemort was powerful enough to protect him. Which is pretty much, I think he's using like the Peter logic on Karkaroff, kind of like what you were saying earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even then, Karkaroff isn't going back because he's just afraid that Voldemort will kill him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like he knows that he's in trouble. And that's like
Yeah.
what he's going to be experiencing is the darkening of his own dark mark throughout the course of the year. And he's freaking out because he's like, I'm screwed.
The two are very similar because it's like Karkaroff names names to get out, and then he's like, uh-oh, everyone hates me now.
Yes.
And Peter is like, I named names on the Potters, and then Voldemort fell, so now the Death Eaters hate me. But that was actually a really weird situation. Sorry, can I come be your friend again?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. They're both both cowards in their own ways.
Yes, they're both huge cowards. Yeah. But let's see. So then this is the most frustrating thing in the world, especially if you're Harry, is that he's like, right, dragons. There's a simple spell. You can do it alone. And all you need to do is just, and then Ron shows up. And it's like, what he was going to mention was the conjunctivitis curse, which is what Crumb uses on the dragons.
Yep, absolutely. So that's basically attacking its eyes because you're not able to stun it any other way, but that's the weak point. Harry hears the tiny pop and Sirius had gone. And then sure enough, it was Ron in his maroon paisley pajamas. Does it say that his pajamas are too short?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a part of this.
It says, at this moment, he hated everything about Ron, right down to his several inches of bare ankle showing beneath his pajama trousers. Oh, poor Ron.
I know.
Because even when he's down there, though, it says, I just wondered where you... Ron broke off, shrugging. Nothing. I'm going back to bed. And it's like, what he was going to say is, I just wondered where you were. Like, he's worried about Harry.
Exactly.
Like, that's why he's up.
I mean, it goes back to what we said earlier as well, where it's like pride is the one thing getting in their way. It's not that they don't still love and care about each other deeply. Like, they obviously do.
Yeah.
So it's almost just like if Ron had been quieter enough and caught sign of Sirius, like I even feel like their friendship could have been mended right then.
Right there.
Yeah. And it would have been like, Sirius. And it'd be like, why are you two fighting? I'm like, I don't know. We're being idiots.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop fighting.
Stop fighting. Do you know what I'd give to have my best friend back? I would have died. Yeah, we've heard. But then I hate this scene. Harry sees one of the Potter Really Stinks badges off the table and chucked it at Ron. Hits him on the forehead. There you go. Something for you to wear on Tuesday night. You might even have a scar now if you're lucky. That's what you want, isn't it? It's just like, it is. Ooh, went right for the jugular, man.
Yeah, that one stings.
Yeah.
That one stings.
It's just sort of like, Ron, do you know how stupid you sound?
Not a good moment.
Have you forgotten that my parents were murdered?
Yeah, like everything I'm up against. I'm up against. But it's just classic jealousy, you know?
Yeah, but then Harry storms upstairs, lies awake in bed, fuming for a long time afterward, and didn't hear Ron come up. And that is because I honestly bet Ron is just down in the common room, straight up crying, you know?
I absolutely think you're right. I mean, it really is like, I mean, it's been terrible for both of them for this whole year. And in a lot of ways, I mean, it's like, you talk about like all the terrible things that Voldemort does on a grand scale, but it's like, these are the other reverberations that you just can't ignore as well. It's like the general discourse. I mean, it's what the Sorting Hat's going to go on and on about in the years to come. It's like, we're better united than divided.
Yeah. I mean, Dumbledore is going to say this is like Voldemort's ability to spread enmity and discord is like vast.
Yes.
And it's like, here it is. He's barely back. He's barely touched Harry's life and boom, it's happening.
It's happening. He's lost his best friend. During a significant time of need.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that's going to round off chapter 19 for us. But Jay, do you have a review for us?
I sure do. And goodness me, I've done the screenshot thing where it didn't say who it was. It was Megan. It was Megan.
Megan.
Hi, Megan. Megan's review says, beautifully wholesome. Hey, brother, I'm a big fan of Super Carlin Brothers. I love how detailed and knowledgeable all their content is. This podcast showcases how much Harry Potter knowledge Jay and Ben have, as well as their beautiful relationship as brothers and friends. I love how kind and wholesome you two are. My question is, what happened to James's parents? I can't for the life of me remember why they're not in the Harry Potter books. What if Harry got to live with the Potters instead of the Dursleys? So great question. What happened to the rest of Harry's grandparents that he ends up with the Dursleys?
Yeah. It really is. I mean, this is another one of those instances where I think like a lot of stuff kind of had to be strategically played out in such a way to make it make sense because this is a kind of glaring issue that would pop up rather quickly, especially when you consider the fact that James and Lily were supposedly only like 20, 21 years old when they would have had Harry.
Right. So it seems like their parents are probably still like fairly young-ish.
You would think like it wouldn't be unreasonable to say mid 40s, even 50s, and that wouldn't be the age range where you would expect all four grandparents to potentially not be there without some other greater explanation. But so what we know about James's family is that his parents in particular desperately wanted to have a child.
Yes.
And basically like struggled to do so until their later years. So
yeah, pretty much had given up on it. So they actually are a little bit older than you'd think when they do finally have James.
yes, so James is kind of like a miracle that arrives for their family. And I think it even helps a little bit inform like this golden child that James kind of gets to exist as.
Yeah.
He's coming from like a well-off family that has sort of like this generational, stash of gold
Yes.
at Gringotts Bank. And he sort of arrived to these otherwise very mature parents who were just kind of able to be like, this is what we wanted. Our boy.
Yay!
I mean, in a lot of ways, I could almost imagine them looking at James the way that like Amos looks at Cedric.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Probably very much like that. They both contract dragonpox and die of that.
Yes.
Is what happens to them. And then for Lily's parents, Lily and Petunia's parents, this is pretty good. They die of natural causes.
Yeah.
That's all we know. That's just what it's like a cop-out answer.
It really is. Yeah. So I mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot to go
Yep.
on there. I'm not sure like any which way you could slice it. Like, I mean, part of me, like we've been talking a lot about like prophecies, and so like now I'm almost like, what if there were other prophecies? Like, what if this was Voldemort trying to like prune the tree or something? Like earlier or like further up.
That'd be interesting. Like they couldn't have kids because there was a prophecy about like their like descendant defeating him or something.
Something like that. Yeah. Or even like, we know that Voldemort was attacking many Muggles, during his earlier reign of terror. So like
that would be a tremendous. I would buy that.
Yeah.
That Voldemort just murdered Lily and Petunia's parents just at random.
Yeah, just at random. Yeah.
Because lest you forget how many Inferi are in the cave. There are thousands.
Yes.
And those are the thing you have to remember about the cave too is that only Voldemort knows about it.
Right.
Meaning that like the Death Eaters cannot be aware that this exists. Meaning he is the one filling that cave with Inferi.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No one else is contributing to that head count.
Exactly.
Which is terrifying.
Yes, it is.
And I mean, it really does speak to like we never even see what is the proper full wrath of Voldemort's terror because like we are heavily invested in Harry and he's Harry's key adversary. And so like to us, he's this menacing figure, but realistically what he does during the Second Wizarding War pales in comparison to what he had done during the first time around. Yeah, which was way worse.
Way worse. Yeah, like tons of like Muggle deaths. And tons of disappearances and dark marks all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like you can imagine like there must have been so many dark marks in the sky marking so many dead people. Like why, if you saw it at the Quidditch World Cup, it would be horrifying.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Like that would definitely strike fear. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, that is the explanation as to where all four of Harry's grandparents went.
Yep.
And I always do think it's kind of interesting because like even then when you go back to Fantastic Beasts, I think both Tina and Queenie are also orphaned and because their parents, I believe, also contracted dragonpox.
Oh, is that it? Dragonpox is a real problem.
It was a real problem. Yeah. So that's kind of like an interesting like parallel. But there's the idea of being left to your own devices, I feel like is such a common trope even across all fantasy,
absolutely.
sci-fi.
So we're Newt's parents. They're probably dead just because.
Right. Yeah. I think we've even made a video once upon a time like why are Disney parents always so dead?
Oh yeah. Look at Dumbledore. Oh my gosh, his mom died and his dad's in Azkaban. Wow. Look at that. He's by himself. Wow.
He's by himself. Yeah.
What shocking. Right. Yep.
But,
look at Grindelwald. His parents died and had to go live with the Aunt Bathilda. Bagshot.
Nice.
Yeah, or maybe they're not dead. He just gets expelled from Durmstrang. It doesn't matter. The point is, that's what happened to the rest of Harry's grandparents and why he ends up with the Dursleys. They are his only living relatives, which is a real bummer for him. But it's okay. It all works out in the end, I suppose, in a weird way. Next, but I think that's going to do it for us on this week of the podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening. And make sure you join us next week for Chapter 20, the first task here on Through the Griffin Door. Really bad artwork, though. Really bad.
Today's episode was edited by Ethan Edghill. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.